Welcome to the Relocated South African, the show for navigating immigration from South Africa for a better future. I'm your host, Jan Hugo from Lagos in Portugal. Check out our website, www.therelocatedsouthafrican.com. Contains a whole lot of useful information and details of all episodes to date. If you want to interact with us or comment on our discussions or even participate in an interview, contact me on jan@therelocatedsoutafrican.com. And also, if you like our content, why not subscribe on your favorite platform? Today, I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Kirsty Jones, the founder and owner of Federated Advisory in Dubai. Welcome, Kirsty.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's awesome. Like I ask every guest on the show, maybe just a little bit of a background on your journey. Where did you grow up, go to school, and how did you end up living in Dubai?
Okay, perfect. I was born in Durban, but when I was about 3, we moved to Joburg, where I spent the rest of high school, primary school, did it all there. Straight out of high school, COVID hit. So in 2019, I just matriculated, thankfully. COVID hit the following year. And as you know, jobs were already difficult to find. It was immensely difficult to find. I ended up getting contacted by a company that actually relocates people around the world to work in like restaurants and, different venues, events and things. And I lived in Qatar for a few months. I was there for about 8 months. And then from there, I moved to Dubai and I haven't looked back. And it's been about 4.5 years now.
Awesome. And do you still have family in South Africa?
Yep. So my mother, my father, my sister all live in SA.
Okay.
And then, you've got the cousins and the aunts.
Yeah. But I mean, so you're the only one that actually took the leap and left. Okay. And let me ask the question, why the UAE?
I think it was more so safety-wise. The country itself is very safe. I can walk around at 3 a.m. I don't have to worry. I can leave my house unlocked. I know nothing's getting stolen. I can leave my phone at a restaurant table, get up, walk around. It's very, very safe. And to have that safety, especially as a young woman who is living alone, it's important to feel that you are always protected and safe. And then just as a country as a whole, the government is very transparent. There's no corruption, there's no hidden anything. They're very open and honest. This is what we're changing, this is what we're doing. So it's just having that stability in a country and knowing that you're not going to get surprised one day and be like, oh well, here's a new law. Everything's open to discussion. They listen to feedbacks. And obviously when it comes to salaries, 0 personal income tax, that's insanely amazing. We love it. Might be one of the best features.
Okay, that's awesome. And so when you moved from Qatar to Dubai, did you move with a job or did you then straight away started your business?
So I moved with a job.
Okay.
So I was working in a restaurant this side, and then beginning of this year, I decided to start the own company. So we started the process and everything, step by step. I was still working other jobs while trying to get this going. And then I just decided to take the leap and jump and go, cool, I'm working for the business now full time. Let's see, because you never know unless you try. And I'm a firm believer, you have to try it. If it fails, at least you can say you tried. And that's what I did. I took a leap of faith and it's been working out so far.
Well, that's amazing. And the particular interest in creating that business, was it born out of own experience of seeing what you went through to get established there?
I think it was, everyone has to do medicals, the systems, the processes. I found personal struggle because you would ask people, oh, when am I getting my visa? When can I fly? I remember distinctly being at home being like, okay, well, I've left my job at home. My bags are packed. I sold my apartment, so when am I leaving? We're working on your visa. We're working on it. People weren't very clear and honest about timelines and they kept things very hidden, where I was like, I'm very upfront and honest. Anyone who works with me, my clients can vouch. I will update them until they're like, okay, Chris, I know you've got this. You can leave me alone. Because I believe in full transparency. You'll know every step of the way where you are. I don't like people having that, that little gap where they're not sure what's happening in life.
Yeah.
I like being predictable.
Okay. And I mean, in the profile that you send me about your business, you talk about wanting to be a trusted and innovative advisory partner in the UAE. Obviously saying that, do you think that's lacking in the UAE at the moment?
I definitely think so. I feel like a lot of people take advantage of expats wanting to move here. not just from South Africa, but from around the world, because they say, oh, this country comes from money. Let's do one product and let's sell it. It's such an expensive rate just because where they're coming from. And, people aren't clear. They do lie. It's getting done when it's not, so I personally found that you can't actually find reliable people. They say one thing, but it's another thing that's happening. And that's kind of what motivated me, because I was like, okay, I want to be clear. I want to be transparent. And I don't want to leave, my clients going, well, I need to book a flight, or, my kids need to start school. Where are we at? I'm very open with everything, and I try to make the process as seamless for them as possible. So I'll take all the heavy loading. Oh, I need you to do this document. No problem. I've filled out all your details. You just need to do a DocuSign, read over a DocuSign. Thank you. Let's go. So I do what I can to make the process, because moving across the world is one of the most stressful things you can ever do in life. And if I can provide some relief from that stress, I'm all in there for it.
Excellent. And maybe just give us a sense of, a person wants to go and work, settle in the UAE, start a business. What is it that you do for them?
So initially, it's usually the consult just to find out what business. So in the UAE, you've got different sectors, and different sectors fall under different branches. So you can either go free zone or mainland, but I won't get into the nitty gritties. But different sectors will fall into different places. So it's just understanding what they're actually looking to do, what they're looking to build, give the recommendation, and then usually the next steps is timelines. Okay, when are you looking to fly out? We can start the business, and your business can be up and running in the UAE, but you can still be living in South Africa. We can completely start it. And when you're ready, okay, kids are done school, we're ready to move. Amazing. Let's go. Here's your ticket. Well, here's your entry visas, and you're good to go. You're good to enter. Your business is already here. Everything's established. You can already hit the ground running.
So you do those visas, the applications, the whole process.
Yeah, I do it all from A to Z, your one-stop shop.
That is absolutely amazing. And typically, if we look at where we are today, what are the types of businesses that South Africans want to start in the UAE? And second question, do you also deal with people who have work in the UAE, or is it only to business establishment?
So usually the South Africans that set up businesses here, it's usually they'll do an umbrella. We call it an umbrella company. So they'll do like marketing consultancy or an activity that's not regulated by the government. So usually they do that just to come over here and get the visa. And then they'll generally go into a different sector or find other employment. But it's usually people who just want to move here with that stability, knowing their visa secured, their family's secured, move here, get the kids enrolled, and then, they've got that time to look for other jobs and find other funding, to live their life. They've got time to find the house. They've got time to do everything. Because a lot of times what happens is you move here for the job, you start within a few days. You don't have time to find a house, go to schools. So a lot of South Africans, what I've noticed is families take the business just to fill that little gap, so they have more time to actually find a life here before they jump into the job market. When it comes to the job market, usually there's a lot of South Africans in hospitality, generally because we are, as a nation, very friendly people. We're very outgoing, and we're naturally very hard workers. And hospitalities have taken that and been like, great, they can speak perfect English, they're friendly, they're bubbly, they work hard, the more the merrier. And that's genuine most South Africans kind of file into.
Okay. And do you help people finding jobs as well? Is that also part of your service?
I try help South Africans where I can. If I see someone post in the Facebook groups from back homes, because I'm still on all of them, I try and connect it with people here looking for people. I know someone who runs they basically do recruitment for different hotels. And he goes, whenever you have a South African, even if they don't have that much experience, we will train them here, send me their CV. I'm like, fabulous. I keep my eyes out. Once, twice a month, I'll make a post. Does anyone interested in coming to the UAE? I don't even get kickbacks for it, but my whole aim was to support South Africans. Hence why I could easily get a marketing team here, but I always want to support my people back home. I know they're struggling. Everyone is back home. So my whole goal is to support as many South Africans and build them up as I can.
Okay. That sounds fantastic. Just let's get back to Dubai and the business. I think I told you beforehand that I worked in the UAE a little bit and found that the red tape was obviously quite difficult, and and trying to do it yourself. That was probably the mistake. From I mean, most of what you do involves red tape, and that takes patience and knowledge, which you have, obviously. But do you have trusted partners in the?
So the way it usually works is you kind of spend hours in immigration lines around the different Emirates, and then you make friends. We do what South Africans do best. We make friends and we chat. And then it's a thing of, I know in this Emirate, I've got a friend in immigration. A quick email, can you do this for me? Amazing. They process it. Done. So it's all about, I always say it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And in
Okay.
Dubai, that's a very big thing. So it's having all those connections in the different immigration. So even if there is an issue for some reason, I can find out faster than someone else who maybe is doing the application themselves because I'm going directly to the source.
Okay, yeah, because that used, well, certainly that seemed to be the case when the bit of time that I spent there, that there are people who are able to talk to the right people. You've just got to find them, and that's important. Do you speak any Arabic?
I speak a little. I did attempt a while back to learn. And the problem is with Arabic, not a problem, but reason Arabic is so difficult to learn because there's so many variations. So Egyptians have their own Arabic, Tunisians have their own Arabic, Moroccans. So wherever you go, the Arabic is completely different. You can kind of understand each other, but it's not one set bit of Arabic. So you're learning some Arabic from one person, you're learning from another, and they're like, no, 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 that's not what that means, you know. Not an easy one to learn, but I did give it my best shot for like the first 2 years. And then I was like, hands up, yeah, English is the way to go.
But I mean, my sense is when you're in a foreign country where you don't speak the language, that if you can say hello and how are you and I'm very well and thank you very much in their language, people already respond well to you. Is that the same in the UAE?
Definitely. I think nowadays, because so many expats are living here in the UAE, it's kind of become a custom of everyone generally speaks English. Even if the English isn't that great, it's kind of become the universal language here because make up about 90%, over 90% of the population in the UAE. Locals are such a minority. And even though other cultures speak Arabic, like I said, it's different dialects of Arabic. So a lot of us communicate openly in English, but what's beautiful about the UAE is you'll learn different languages, little snippets from different languages. I mean, if I can recall, I know about 15 different languages. I know small snippets. I know how to say hello. I know how to say thank you. You know, it's very rare in the world to find a place where there's so many languages just being spoken on daily, just around you.
Yeah, I can imagine. And an obvious question, and it's probably not politically correct to ask this, but in the Arabic culture, being a female in business is kind of new. And the question is, do you find working there in that predominantly male business environment that it's quite difficult, or has it been easy for you?
I want to say it has its challenges. I think more so I deal with a lot of expats. So that side is very easy. You know, we all come from a custom where you have women, you have men, it makes no difference. Here generally it just kind of depends. Certain immigration officers, they don't want to deal with women. They prefer to speak to men just based on their cultural preference. They don't want to speak to a woman, which I completely respect. So there is certain challenges that come with being a woman in the UAE, but it's never a big problem. They usually will direct me to a female that's sitting maybe next to them that's doing the same job. For women who don't want to speak to men, you know, they have the option. So there is difficulties, but it's nothing that will actually prevent you from doing the job that you want to do.
Okay, okay. Oh, well done. And what would you say would be the biggest difficulties that people face when they move to the UAE?
I think it's isolation. When I say isolation is a lot of people struggle to get a work-life balance going. And when they do have that little bit of free time, they kind of get consumed with the UAE. You know, brunches are very popular here now, you know, so you don't actually find time to genuinely connect with people because everyone is on their own work schedule. Everyone is so busy. So I feel like a lot of the times, if you're not moving here with someone or you don't have a community in place, it becomes very isolating and it gets to people very, very, very quickly. But luckily, we have a lot of South African events. You know, we kind of are everywhere. So it does help to find a community, but it is a very big struggle in the beginning.
Okay. And I mean, typically that was the other question that, in a lot of the interviews that I do, people kind of gravitate normally towards other South Africans. So when you arrive in a new place, even though they say you should mix with the locals, it just doesn't happen always. And I think particularly there, it would be other expats from the UK or Australia or New Zealand, but you will never mix with the locals because they're such a small minority. But I guess in the UAE, it's the same thing. The South Africans hang together.
A lot of us generally do. We kind of mix in with the UK and the Irish, especially if you're kind of more on the party side aspect. You kind of generally, it's the Irish pubs you go to. So it's like you'll find the UK and the Irishman there. So that's kind of where you gravitate if that's your vibe. A lot of the running clubs are set up by UK people. So we kind of form together. Apologies. We currently have a flu. It's the winter flu going around in Dubai. So we all struggling currently. But yeah, so you tend to gravitate towards your own people because you miss.
Yeah. Okay. That tends to be the case. It's interesting. I've had an interview with another person in Dubai early on, and one of the points he made was that people in Dubai tend to stay there for maybe 10 years max, and then they move to another country or they go back home because you can't get citizenships.
It's definitely a big struggle, but I tell people Dubai is where you build, but it's not where you land.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. And in terms of connecting people, is that part of what you do as well, trying to put people in touch and play that role? Okay.
So generally, I will fit the different businesses I set up. If I know that, for example, podcast, amazing. I've just set up a South African business. Great. I've got someone you can speak to. I generally try to connect people that have at least some common ground. Or if I meet a new South African who's like, I just landed. I'm like, great. Here's a few groups. You're going to join these ones. We have a bride coming up. You're going to come with me. I try and integrate people because I know that feeling. So I try and get as many businesses and networking done as possible.
Yeah. And from an accommodation perspective, I know there's vast amounts of building and construction going on and continuing to go on. So one almost gets the impression that there's an oversupply, but there doesn't seem to be an oversupply. Do you also help people to secure accommodation?
I've got channel partnerships with a lot of real estate companies and developers. So I'm able to, okay, what are you looking for? Great. I've got people, no matter what Emirates, I've got someone working on it.
Okay.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about setting up from the beginning. And let's talk a little bit about life in the UAE. Obviously, the summers are very warm. How do you cope with that?
I mean, you kind of adjust. It's a thing of, yes, it is very, very hot and you feel it, but keep in mind, we've got AC wherever we go. The bus stops on the side of the road have AC. All the buildings have AC. Restaurants, malls, everywhere has AC. Dubai has put in place laws that if the AC is not working, by law, your staff do not need to come into the office because it does get so hot. If you're looking from a tourist perspective visiting, you want to go to the tourist attractions. A lot of them close for summer. Residents, we don't go out. It's an inside resident joke when you go around the mall and you see the tourists with the red shoulders, red face. How do you know if they're a tourist or a resident? And you go, and it's the sunburn. Because residents in summer, we stick to the indoor places. It is hot, but we found our own way to cope with it. Same thing as winter. People will look at our temperatures being like, it's 23, and residents are in jackets. They've got, scarves around their neck. People around the world look at us like we're crazy. My mom even looks at me. She's like, what are you doing? That's a nice summer's day in South Africa. I'm like, but when you're going from high 40s to 20, you feel the difference very, very quickly. So it's kind of like you climatize to it, you adjust to it. I always say the first year is the hardest with the transition from summer to winter. But after that, you're good as gold.
And in summer, when it's that hot, for instance, you're a runner or you're an outdoor person, likes outdoor activities, which a lot of South Africans are. What do you do? Are there facilities to practice what you like to do?
100%. We've got indoor running tracks. They even started a mall marathon. So people are actually running inside the mall under the AC. Dubai is very fitness focused. So every November, they have a challenge. Every single day, 30 minutes of exercise. They have free exercise, so free paddle, tennis. They've got yoga instructors, CrossFit, setting up at the gym, like setting up at pools, setting up on the beach, all free. You just sign up. So Dubai is very health focused. They want their expats, to be healthy, to exercise. And they've really kept up with that, making sure that even in the summer, you've got places you can go to make sure you can work out.
Okay. Oh, that's absolutely um, amazing because, people who don't know about the heat, and sometimes they get a big surprise when they arrive.
Very big shock.
And is that something you prepare people for, that some of your clients, the first visit to Dubai, when they arrive there, to come and live there?
Even so, I do tourist visas as well. So a lot of the time when I'm doing a visa, I obviously know what day they're flying in, and I'm always like, okay, this is what residents feel. This is the temperature. These are activities that you can do. These you think are brilliant. 5 minutes in the sun, you're gonna melt. You're gonna hate it every second. Don't even do it. But here's something that's similar. So obviously, I try and give advice where I can. Even new people who have moved here, I definitely try help them out, because it can be a very big shock to the system when you going from these two years. You do feel like it's game over for you.
Yeah, that must be very, very difficult. And one of the things that one is also aware of is the cost of living. You said that salaries are good, and obviously there's zero tax, but on the other side, the cost of living is quite high.
It definitely is high. I mean, Dubai, the UAE is known for this glamorous life. If in every country you always have, that you've got your variants. You've got the higher class, middle class, and lower class. And the same can be said here. Your locals are sitting at the high. Very few expats are sitting up there with them. Most of us are middle class, but generally what happens is a lot of people get swept up with the Dubai lifestyle. Oh, I need to have a fancy car. I need to have the nicest apartment. So a lot of people get nice salaries, but end up spending it all a lot quickly. And things are quite expensive here. But I always prepare people to say, this is a realistic budget, but that means you can only go out. If you're coming with this much savings moving here and you want this type of apartment, you can go out once a month. You can have takeaways once a month. The rest has to be groceries, and not these expensive grocery stores, the smaller ones. So I think it's all about mindsets. I mean, it's easy. Even in South Africa, you could have a massive salary, but it depends on what you're spending it on. Dubai is expensive, but it's kind of by comparison. I was speaking to a family that's just moved over, and they spending 200 Rand on a burger meal, where I'm only spending 150 for the same meal, 150 Rand. So it's kind of like some things are more expensive, some things are cheaper. Petrol is cheaper because the oil's coming from here. So you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons of where most of your expenses are coming from, to know where you're kind of going to be saving and spending.
Okay. And my impression is that eating out, for instance, is particularly expensive, and so is alcohol, if you can get it, or where you can get it.
So eating out depends where you go, but it definitely is more on the pricier side. But when it comes to takeaways, on the other hand, there's so many apps that are incredible, that are constantly running promotions. Buy one large pizza, get a large pizza for free, for argument's sake. So there's so many promotions. So if you learn how to navigate, you can easily find those deals and save the money. When it comes to the alcohol, it's not as difficult anymore to find places. A lot of hotels will have bars and restaurants and pubs attached. And then they've now got a few stores that sell it. You obviously need to apply for a specific license, so it's attached to your Emirates ID. So every time you go, they scan it. And it's a system that I really, really appreciate. Is you can't spend, let's say you're earning 10,000 dirhams a month. You're capped at how much you can spend on alcohol. So they cap your ID at 1,000 dirhams. You can't go above that. So no matter where you go to get that alcohol, they're going to scan your license and they're going to say you are over the limit. And I absolutely love that, because, it's not forcing people who may suffer from issues with alcohol. It cuts them. You cannot get anything more. You obviously have some, around the corner sales, but it's generally people don't go for it. So it actually creates a lot more of a safer and healthier environment. And with such strict laws where you can't be drunk in public, you can't drink in public, it obviously also keeps the safety of the country itself. You know, you're not getting drunk drivers. And if you do, it's the police on them immediately. So I must say that the system that they put in place works really well. But yeah,
Well,
the alcohol is definitely a pricey one.
yeah, my sense is that you also don't want to get involved in an altercation with the cops in Dubai. That's for sure.
You
Then
don't
what
want to
is
be on the receiving end, but they're very helpful in nature. If you need something, they are the first ones to jump. If there's an accident within 4 minutes, they dispatched. That is insane. No matter where you are, 4 minutes, you've got police on you. You know, but on the receiving end, the legal system here it's not great. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's some people go in and you'll never hear of them again. Um, it's just the processing is so slow because they don't prioritize criminals. They prioritize people who are following the law. So those systems are very, very behind. So you do not want to get caught up on the wrong side of the law. It's the laws that they have here, they're not extreme laws. It's common laws everywhere. And if you find yourself breaking these basic laws, it's kind of on you for putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, one of the things that I know, when you try and speak to somebody on WhatsApp in the UAE, you can't. You can't make a WhatsApp call. What is behind that?
It is, let me just tell you, it is the bane of my existence, especially when I'm dealing slapping clients. Oh, I'm just going to call you. And they start WhatsApp phoning me. And I'm like, cool. So the UAE protects privacy. So even FaceTime, if you buy an iPhone from the UAE, FaceTime is not involved. You can't make calls even on Instagram, Facebook, anything. You cannot make a video call without a VPN, unless you're obviously using Teams or Google Meet. You need a VPN that's going to send you to Germany, or you're going to be in the UK, and that's the only way that our WhatsApp calls actually work. So the UAE, when it comes to what they allow people to have access to, the internet is quite restricted, but there's always ways around it. Just
Yeah. But I mean,
download.
WhatsApp has become such a universal way of calling and calling for nothing because of data. But I can imagine. But I know when you have people that travel in Dubai, or you want to speak to somebody in Dubai, the call just goes dead, so it doesn't work.
A lot of the times, I inform people when they first move here, I'm like, these are the VPNs I use. They're free. You can pay for ones if you need it. Really don't need it. The VPNs are really good quality for being for free. A 5-second ad and you just go whoop and you're connected. You can stay on it. I've stayed on it for like 8 hours. The girls having a little catch up. But I always inform people, I'm like, if you want it to work, I mean, there's Wi-Fi everywhere in the UAE. In the restaurants, in the malls, wherever you go, there's Wi-Fi. Unless you're walking in the road, you don't have Wi-Fi, but everywhere else there's Wi-Fi. So I always tell people, I'm like, you'll be fine as long as you got your VPN, because you can turn it on, make a call, you're good to go.
Okay. And there's no restriction on VPNs?
No.
That's,
I mean, by law, okay, if we're going to get in on the technicalities, by law, having a VPN is technically not legal. However, South Africans don't understand, because I used to send, when I first moved here, I sent my mom Zoom links. We would have our daily call on Zoom. However, that was not sustainable to my patients. So I said, how is everyone, WhatsApp group, how are people calling in the UAE? I don't understand what the issue is. I found about the VPN. So although it's technically illegal, the government it's one of those, as long as you're not doing anything illegal with that VPN, they kind of don't really care. They'll let you have your WhatsApp calls. You can have it in public as long as people aren't in the background, but they don't care. But it's obviously, you kind of need to know where the boundaries are. As soon as it crosses over to something illegal, that's where the government is going to step in.
okay, I'm with you. Okay, we're kind of getting towards the end. Just a couple more questions. If you think back of your journey since you left South Africa via Qatar to Dubai, what's the one piece of advice you wish you had before you left?
Appreciate biltong more. I feel like that's a big one. I always tell people, like, appreciate the biltong. And weirdly enough, chips, like, I miss something about South African chips that has so much flavor, like the crisps, like
Yeah.
so much flavor. And yeah, it's just lacking. But on a serious note, it's more, prioritize your time with friends and family, and make sure you're setting those strict times. Sundays, I will speak to my family. Hail, sunshine, I don't care if I'm sick. Sundays, I will connect with back home because, you forget, life gets busy and a few months go by and you look back and you're like, oh, mom's in a hospital. Oh, for what for? Oh, the surgery. What surgery? It's very easy to disconnect. So I think if I had to give advice to anyone is create that structure and stick to it.
Okay, that's very useful. I think that comes out in every discussion is that family connection. And I mean, other than that, particularly talking about the Gulf and the UAE, if you have one piece of advice today for anyone thinking about relocating, what would that be?
For just anyone in general, it would be if you want safety, this is one of the best places to do it. I love South Africa with my entire heart. You speak to any South African, we all love our country. We all stand by our country. Just unfortunately, it's not being run by the correct people, and that's why most of us have left. And it is sad, getting emotional here. It is really sad because even expats, they go to the country, they come back, they say, it is such a beautiful country, but safety should be your priority. And if you want safety and you want stability, this is the country you'll find it. Here, the government actually invests in people. They push people, bring your ideas to us. They're very, like I said to you, they're very open to ideas, criticisms, what's working, what's not working, and they're constantly trying to improve themselves. Name another country that will actually listen to people's pleas and they're like, okay, we're on it. Name another country where a building will catch a light and by the next day the residents are rehoused and the outside of the building has already been fixed. You won't be able to find anywhere in the world that can move with such agility and such combined forces where everyone just runs in and jumps to help. But here, it really is. You'll meet strangers that will give you a bottle of water. It's hard to have some water. Everyone is connected in their own way. And if you want a community where it is safe and you can grow, you can build a really strong future here, this would be the place to do it. Especially if you're young, this is where you can spend 20, 30 years, you build up your life, you save your money, you invest it. Yes, you can't technically live here without a job, but you've got other routes now. You've got the golden visa, which is property. Buy a property, you can stay for 10 years. You can retire here if you want. The government is trying to find ways to keep people here and keep them happy, and they're constantly evolving. So if anyone had to ask why Dubai, why the UAE, that's why. That's the advice I would give, is you can build a life where you don't have to look over your shoulder every day. It's not a concern in your mind anymore.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kirsty. That is just so useful and such a nice, positive conversation. If people want to contact you now that your website is up and running, what is the website called?
So it's www.federatedadvisory.com.
Okay, awesome. Federatedadvisory.com. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I always love speaking to South Africans, so it just always fills my heart with such joy.
Excellent. Thank you. If you enjoyed my discussion with Kirsty and would like to hear more about experiences of South Africans who have left South Africa, why not subscribe on your favorite platform? If you'd like to share your own story, contact me on jan@relocatedSouthAfrican.com. Until next time.